He wrote a song called Fiction. 3 days later, he died, at 28. Before his death, he told his band it was his final song. No drama, no explanation. Coincidence? Maybe. But metal history is full of mysteries, and none of them feel as unsettling as this one. This is the Reverend Avenged Sevenfold's genius, and a death that still raises uncomfortable questions. The official explanation of the Rev's death is simple. An accidental overdose, a mix of prescription drugs and alcohol, an enlarged heart, a tragic accident. But was it really that simple? What about the songs he had been writing for years? Brompton Cocktail, about a sick man who wants to die. Fiction, written like a farewell letter. A little piece of heaven, an 8-minute symphony of madness, obsession, death, and love beyond the grave. Were these songs just imagination? Or were they warnings? Doctors had told him the truth. Because of his enlarged heart, he might not live past 30. He knew it. The band knew it. His family knew it. So if someone knows their own death is coming, how do they live? How do they play drums with that weight on their chest? How do they fall in love? How do they give everything they have on stage night after night? The answer is simple. You live like there's no tomorrow. And the Rev did exactly that. You can't think of Avenged Sevenfold without the Rev. He wasn't just the drummer, he was the heart of the band, the creative engine. M. Shadows could deliver the vocals. Synyster Gates was the guitar god. But Jimmy was the soul. Without him, they were a great metal band. With him, they were legends. His relationship with Synyster Gates was something special. They met in 8th grade wood shop class. At first, Syn didn't like Jimmy. He was too loud, too crazy, too much. But one day, they ended up together in Syn's garage. Syn plugged in his guitar. Jimmy sat behind his drums. And in that moment, everything changed. It was that electric realization of finding a soul twin. When they played together, the world disappeared. There was only music, only rhythm, only creation. But that relationship was never easy. 2 alphas, 2 geniuses, 2 egos. They fought, they argued, they drove each other insane. And then they'd walk into the studio and create something together that neither could have made alone. That was the dynamic. That was the fire. And that fire is what made Avenged Sevenfold great. M. Shadows was a different story. He was Jimmy's closest friend, his brother. But he was also the band's leader, the one trying to keep Jimmy under control. And Jimmy was uncontrollable. No rules, no boundaries. He'd wake you up at 3 in the morning and say, "I have a new idea." And suddenly, you'd be working on a song for 5 hours. Or you'd find yourself at a police station bailing him out because Jimmy had done something again. But behind the glitter, there was darkness. The Rev was suffering. Physical pain came first. Playing drums that hard, that fast, for so many years destroys the body. After every show, his arms would go numb, his hands would swell, his back would throb. And his enlarged heart? That was a ticking time bomb every single day. But the drugs weren't only for physical pain. There was something deeper, something emotional, a void. Jimmy was always in motion, always doing something, always laughing, joking, creating chaos. Why? Maybe he was afraid to stop. Maybe when he stopped, the silence became too loud. Then there was Liana Silver, the Rev's girlfriend, the person who knew him best, the person who found him that morning. December 28th, 2009. Their home in Huntington Beach. Jimmy was lying motionless, gone, just like that. Can you imagine what Liana went through that day? Your love, your best friend, your future, gone in an instant. She called the ambulance. She called the band. She called his family. But it was already too late. Jimmy was gone. And now the questions begin. Why then? Why exactly 3 days after delivering Fiction? Why when the Nightmare album was almost finished? Some fans believe it wasn't accidental, but intentional. Not suicide, but something else. A controlled exit, a finale on his own terms. The Rev liked control. He controlled his music, his life, his story. So what if he wanted to control his death too? The toxicology report came 6 months later. Oxycodone, oxymorphone, diazepam, nordiazepam, ethanol. A combination. A lethal combination. But Jimmy was smart. He knew his body. He knew his drugs. Was this really a mistake? Some go even further. They believe Fiction wasn't just a song, but an encoded message. Look at the lyrics. Now, I think I understand how this world can overcome a man. He's saying he understands how a man can be defeated by the world. Like a friend, we saw it through. In the end, I gave my life for you. In the end, I gave my life for you. Is that metaphor or something literal? And then there's the tattoo, the word fiction inked on his chest years before his death. He once said his life was so unbelievable, so absurd, so extreme, that if he told someone about it, it would sound like fiction. But maybe there was more to it. Maybe he felt his own life wasn't real. Maybe he never truly felt like he belonged in this world. Maybe the music, the drums, the chaos, those were his ways of escaping reality. Mike Portnoy, Dream Theater's legendary drummer and one of the Rev's heroes, once said something chilling. When Avenged Sevenfold asked him to help finish Nightmare, he said, "When I listened to Jimmy's demos, it felt like he'd left me messages. Like every note, every hit was placed on purpose. Like he knew I'd be the one playing them." Is that a paranoid theory? Maybe. But maybe not. Maybe Jimmy really knew. Maybe he felt time running out and wanted everything to be perfect. He wanted to leave something behind. He wanted to control his legacy. And if that's what he did it magnificently. Not enough has been said about Liana Silver. The media focused on the Rev's death, his music, his legacy. But the woman who loved him most? She remained in the shadows. Liana and Jimmy's relationship was stormy, passionate, intense. Being with someone like the Rev was never easy. He was unpredictable. One moment, he could make you feel like the most important person in the world. The next, he'd disappear into the studio, and you wouldn't see him for 3 days. But Liana understood him. She saw his darkness and his light, his genius and his madness, all of it, and she stayed. Because beneath the Rev, there was Jimmy. Little Jimmy Sullivan, the kid from Huntington Beach, the kid who played drums for his family, the kid who joked around with his sister. And that was the person Liana loved. For Jimmy's family, his mother, Barbara, and his father, Joe, this wasn't the loss of a rock star. It was the loss of their son. Barbara once said in an interview, Jimmy was always different. He was drumming at 2 months old. But he wasn't just talented. He was special. When he walked into a room, the energy would change. He made people smile. He made them feel alive. After his death, Barbara told the band something powerful. "You need to release this last album. Jimmy would want that. He lived for this music. He gave his life to it. Now the world needs to hear it." And they did. Nightmare was released and went straight to #1 on the Billboard 200. The Rev never got to see it. But somehow we know he would have been proud. The Rev's genius wasn't limited to the drums. He was a composer, an arranger, a true multi-instrumentalist. He played piano, he played guitar, he sang, and more importantly, he could build music. A Little Piece of Heaven was entirely his creation, an 8-minute orchestra-backed metal opera about death, obsession, and love beyond the grave. Necrophilia-themed. Disturbing? Absolutely. Genius? Undeniable. He sat down and wrote everything himself. Drums, piano, choirs, strings, every single part. Then he brought it to the band and said, "Here's our new song." The reaction was shock. It was unlike anything Avenged Sevenfold had ever done. But Jimmy didn't hesitate. "Trust me," he said. "This will work." And it did. Today, it stands as one of the band's most iconic songs, one of the most controversial, and unquestionably one of the most interesting. Another defining trait of the Rev was his complete disregard for genre. He played metal, but he loved ska, punk, jazz, classical music. His side project, Pinkly Smooth, was pure avant-garde chaos, like Mr. Bungle colliding with Frank Zappa inside a metal band. Most people didn't understand it. Jimmy didn't care. He didn't create to look cool. He didn't create for money. He created because he had to, because his soul demanded it. Let's go back to Fiction. That song is the key. December 25th, 2009, Christmas Day. The Rev walks into the studio with a demo. He hands it to the band. "This is the last song," he says. "It completes the album." They listen. It's beautiful, emotional, intimate, but they don't realize they're listening to a farewell. 3 days later, Jimmy is gone. When they listen to the song again, every word feels different. "I know you'll find your own way when I'm not with you. So tell everybody, the ones who walk beside me, I hope that you will find me. I'm watching over you." What was he thinking when he wrote those lines? Was he thinking about his own death? His legacy? Or was he simply writing intuitively, letting his subconscious guide him? We'll never know. But we do know one thing. That song is a gift. A painful gift, but a gift. M. Shadows once said, "Every time I listen to Fiction, I still cry. Every time." Because it's not just a song, it's Jimmy talking to us, telling us he's okay, telling us he's still here. The Rev died on December 28th, 2009. But his music didn't die. His impact didn't die. His spirit didn't die. Avenged Sevenfold continued. They had to, because Jimmy would have wanted it that way. But they were never the same. They couldn't be. A part of the band was gone. The wildest part, the most creative part, a piece of the heart. Today, more than a decade later, the Rev remains a legend in the metal community. Young drummers study his technique. They try to imitate his speed, his precision, his creativity. But they can never truly replicate him, because the Rev wasn't just a drummer. He was an event, a force, a spirit, and that kind of spirit only comes once. Some say he left too early, only 28. There was more music inside him, more life to be lived, and they're right. But maybe, just maybe, the Rev left at exactly the right moment. At the peak, still rising, still creating, still driving the world crazy. Because if you want to stay young forever, you have to die young. And the Rev did. But perhaps the greatest testament to the Rev's legacy is the song written for him, "So Far Away," the most painful track on Nightmare. Written by Synyster Gates, Jimmy's closest friend, his soul twin, his musical partner. Syn originally wrote the song for his grandfather. A way to process death. A way to make sense of loss. But when Jimmy died, the meaning changed. It was no longer just about a grandfather. It became a song for his best friend, his brother, one of the most important people in his life. The lyrics of So Far Away are simple, yet devastating. How do I live without the ones I love? Time still turns the pages of the book it's burned. The past stays in the past, but the pain remains. Sleep tight, I'm not afraid. The ones that we love are here with me. That last line is everything, because that's what Sin was trying to tell Jimmy. You're gone, but you're still here. In every note, in every song, in every moment on stage. You're so far away, yet right here at the same time. When the band played So Far Away live for the first time, no one spoke. 20,000 people. Silence. Just the music. And when the song ended, everyone cried. The band on stage, the people in the crowd. Because in that moment, everyone felt the same thing. Jimmy wasn't there, but somehow he still was. The Rev's story is a story of tragedy, but it's also a story of triumph. He lived 28 years and accomplished more than most people do in 80. He created music. He inspired people. He pushed boundaries. He broke rules. He lived fully, passionately, with zero regrets. And now, every time So Far Away plays, we remember him. Not as the drummer, not as the rock star, but as a human being, flawed, brilliant, complicated, and beautiful. So far away, but never forgotten. Gone, but never lost. The Rev's story ends here, but his music doesn't. That plays forever. And maybe that's the greatest legacy of all. Music never dies. Even when the artist leaves, the art remains. And the Rev's art? That's eternal.